Around 1200 BC, the Eastern Mediterranean was a thriving, interconnected network of regional superpowers. The Mycenaeans, the Hittites, the Babylonians, and the Egyptians were building massive, glittering administrative centers. These empires operated in a state of ancient globalization. Their kings wrote letters calling each other brother, they intermarried across borders, and they relied on highly complex international trade networks to keep their economies humming. Then, within just a few short decades, almost all of these advanced societies were violently wiped off the map. Even mighty Egypt barely survived, severely weakened. This rapid erasure plunged humanity into a centuries-long dark age. Their writing systems, overland trade routes, and monumental architecture completely vanished. This surviving Egyptian stone relief shows the historical record of the Sea Peoples. Pharaohs carved dramatic scenes fighting off these seafaring warriors, identifying them as the primary threat to the empire. Modern science reveals a different reality. The collapse was humanity's first recorded systemic failure, a perfect storm of disasters that occurred all at once. The true catalyst for the Bronze Age collapse came down to the weather. The entire region was hit by a severe, centuries-long climate shift, resulting in a mega drought. Scientists have validated this drought using ancient tree rings. By analyzing the narrow growth patterns in these samples, researchers can track a centuries-long drop in rainfall that correlates exactly with the timing of the collapse. Further geological proof comes from these sediment core samples and pollen counts extracted from Mediterranean lake beds. The samples show a sudden, sustained disappearance of vegetation that requires consistent water to grow. This environmental shift was devastating. The Bronze Age empires relied on agriculture to sustain their massive populations and fund their militaries, and the sudden drop in rainfall caused consecutive years of complete crop failure. Without grain, tax revenues dried up. Famine swept across the ancient world, leading to mass starvation, violent riots, and the rapid breakdown of central governments. Archaeologists identified the Sea Peoples as climate refugees. They were families traveling with their belongings on ox carts, desperately fleeing their own starving homelands. When they swept across the Mediterranean and burned wealthy coastal trade ports to the ground, it was an act of sheer survival. These groups attacked cities because they were looking for food and resources that no longer existed in their own lands. The first fallen domino was an invisible environmental shift that broke the ancient world's ability to feed itself. This map shows the massive distance between copper in Cyprus and tin in Afghanistan. To produce bronze, materials traveled thousands of miles via an intricate web of trade routes. When drought and refugees struck, ships stopped and roads became too dangerous. The trade arteries snapped. Without a steady flow of imported tin, empires lost the ability to forge bronze weapons for their armies or tools for their farmers. The military and economic backbone of these societies shattered. Historian Eric Klein argues that the Bronze Age world had grown too complex and deeply interdependent to function on a local level. It created an unstoppable chain reaction. An earthquake or drought in one region caused a famine. That famine sparked a local rebellion, which disrupted the global tin trade. Without tin, a neighboring empire couldn't arm its soldiers, leaving it defenseless against invasion. The hyperconnectivity of these empires, their greatest achievement, became the exact mechanism that pulled the entire global system down. In the aftermath of 1200 BC, international trade stopped completely. The grand empires vanished, and society regressed into centuries of isolation. These empires collapsed because they were too efficient and too deeply linked to survive independently. When the global system failed, there was no local backup. The fragility of the ancient tin trade is a direct mirror to the highly optimized, globalized supply chains we rely on today for everything from microchips to medical supplies. The sudden erasure of this ancient civilization stands as a haunting blueprint for how highly complex societies collapse under their own weight. To explore more forgotten truths from human history, hit the subscribe button below and join us for the next video.